The world laughs at me for being too crazy, I laugh at the world for not being able to see through. Su Ming, the son-in-law who came to visit, endured for a year and was praised as a useless Su. However, he suddenly caused a big birthday banquet and even proposed a divorce. His ex-wife Mu Yushu never knew that the useless man next to her was actually a heavenly doctor in the world. With the 9 needles of a magpie in one hand, he could kill people and turn flesh and bones white. He was equipped with the true secret of heavenly martial arts, which can withstand millions of soldiers. He would rather provoke black and white impermanence than the heavenly doctor Su Ming. My ex-wife cried loudly, "Husband, please. How about we remarry?" Chapter 1. Mu family's daughter-in-law, Su Waste. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Husband, you're great. You're amazing. Hurry up, hurry up. Wife, it's so satisfying. I'm really going to have a blast. In one bedroom of the top suite at the Jinhao Hotel, there was a fierce collision sound. In the hall, a short and shapely young man wearing an ordinary white shirt and pure cotton pants is calmly packing a box of gold needles. If an old Chinese medicine practitioner watches carefully here, they will find that this is the legendary and priceless Bianc gold needle. Wishing you a happy married life. Then I'll leave. Su Ming shouted to the bedroom and wanted to leave. The door suddenly opened, and a middle-aged man with a Mediterranean hairstyle walked out naked, excitedly handing a set of keys to Su Ming. Master Su, you are really amazing. I feel like I have returned to my youth and can dominate the world with beautiful women. As a token of gratitude, I'll give you the 9th Villa King from the Peach Blossom Land Villa District. I know you've always been indifferent to fame and fortune, but as a man, having a good house is not bad. If you have any further needs in the future, feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you very much. If I have any future needs, I will definitely thank you very much. Su Ming nodded, grabbed the set of keys, and then walked out. Jinhao Grand Hotel is a famous 5-star hotel with a rich customer base and daily popularity. Especially tonight, the Chinese restaurant on the 3rd floor is particularly lively. On the 3rd floor, Su Ming was assigned a seat next to the corner of the toilet as soon as he entered, sitting alone, which seemed particularly out of place. Others rely on a large round table with 18 seats, while he only has a small square table here. On the table, there was a plate of boiled cabbage, a plate of chopped peppers, and another plate of fruit bananas. The symbolism has only 2 points. Firstly, he is only suitable for eating rotten cabbage. Secondly, besides eating pepper, he also eats bananas. How fragrant. Su Ming picked himself a piece of cabbage and ate it happily. He is a bit happy because there are still 3 days left until the day of divorce. Today is the birthday banquet of the old lady of the Mu family, inviting many local families in Jianghuai City. Of course, there are also major cooperative channel merchants, local politicians, well-known figures, and even a large group of out-of-town relatives who are not usually contacted in the banquet hall. Su Ming is just the doorstep son-in-law of the Mu family, and his status is even inferior to that of a dog. He has no wealth, no power, and no influence. Known as Su Waste. After more than a year of marriage, except for his wife Mu Yushu, the other Mu family did not take Su Ming seriously because they all looked down on him. This time, it was said that the seats were tight, so Su Ming was arranged here, but in fact, it was to match Mu Yushu and Jin Taihao. Jin Taihao is the eldest young master of the second-rate Jin family. He returned from overseas half a month ago and immediately fell in love with the first beauty of the Mu family, Mu Yushu. You should know that Mu Yushu is not only a cold and beautiful woman, but also a famous commercial goddess in Jinhua district of Jianghuai City, with many pursuers. At this moment, Mu Yushu was wearing a white dress, like a pure and charming orchid in an empty valley, elegant and serene. A flawless oval face, with light brown long hair draped over her shoulders, a graceful figure, and skin resembling condensed fat. Her temperament is transcendent and charming, comparable to that of a fairy from heaven. Rao is a second-tier beautiful female celebrity invited by the Mu family, and when she sees Mu Yushu, she feels inferior. Therefore, the whole audience's attention was focused on Mu Yushu. Yushu, come on, I'll toast you. Kim Tae-ho, dressed in a white anima suit, was also the focus of the audience. After all, he is the young master of the Kim family. Holding his wine glass, his greedy gaze scanned the deep gap beneath the snow. White swan neck of Mu Yushu, wishing he could immediately reach out and play with it. Although the two seats were leaning against each other, Mu Yushu placed a golden shoulder bag in the middle of the chair and strictly prohibited Jin Taihao from approaching. I'm sorry, Hao Shao. I can't drink alcohol because the doctor has already issued a certificate for me. He said I have poor gastrointestinal health and am allergic to alcohol. Mu Yushu frowned and looked at Jin Taihao, shook his head, and then took out a hospital report, looking as if waiting for Jin Taihao to verify. Jin Taihao did not go to read the report, but looked at Mu Yushu with a gloomy expression on his face, his eyebrows twisted into inverted 8 characters. Because he felt that in front of everyone, Mu Yushu was not giving him face. You should know that for the sake of Mu Yushu, he has already partnered with his family's Jinshan group and Mu's Mu Yu group for the Beijiaotianhe project. And this collaboration is as high as 300 million yuan, but it is a real big project that gives the already declining Mu family a chance to come back to life. He thought that by doing so, he could definitely hold on to Mu Yushu, but he didn't expect Mu Yushu to look down on him and even show off to him. Yushu, you're not right about that. Today is the birthday banquet of the old lady. Who doesn't drink alcohol? You took out a fake report to deceive who? The speaker was a young man with curly hair sitting across from him, named Mu Qingyu. He was the cousin of Mu Yushu and the eldest grandson of the Mu family. Because Mu Yushu took the position of CEO of Mu Yu Group, he felt depressed and frustrated, and he had always resented Mu Yushu. The report is true, believe it or not, it's up to you. Since you like to drink, then you can drink to your heart's content. Mu Yushu stood up, glared angrily at Mu Qingyu, then pushed away the chair and walked towards Su Ming. When they saw Mu Yushu sitting next to Su Ming, everyone immediately looked shocked. Su Ming's face darkened, and he suddenly felt that the eyes of the whole audience were sharp like arrows, as if he was about to be punished, making him feel uncomfortable all over. You're eating well over there. What are you doing here? Besides, in 3 days, we'll be getting divorced. Upon hearing these words, Mu Yushu's pretty face instantly changed, and his gaze fixed on Su Ming with a resentful expression. Delay for 1 year. Help me get rid of Kim Tae-ho. The imperative words made Su Ming frown. He shook his head and hit a piece of Chinese cabbage with his chopsticks. He took a bite and sprayed it while eating. Boiled Chinese cabbage is still delicious when it's hot, but if it's cold and delayed for another year, it won't taste good either. The chef's cooking skills at this hotel are too poor, they haven't cooked the taste of boiled cabbage at all. Negative review, must be negative. And there's also this chopped pepper. The recipe was wrong, and it must have been covered improperly in the past 2 days. It's a bit rotten. Mu Yushu's pretty face turned red, and she gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were already wide-eyed, full of resentment. How could this bastard refuse me? Also, what's the point of mentioning these dishes now? When I came here, I asked you not to listen to my mother. It wasn't my fault you were arranged here. Are you blaming me now? As long as you postpone our marriage, I can give you 1 million. Su Ming was taken aback and looked at Mu Yushu with a puzzled expression on his face. Your annual salary is only 1 million yuan. If you give it to me, wouldn't it be like you worked for nothing all year? Mu Yushu looked at Jin Taihao, who had already walked over with a glass in his hand. She felt very helpless because she really disliked Jin Taihao. Although Jin Taihao is nominally a returnee, she has already inquired about the news. Jin Taihao is always making a living abroad and has offended people, which is why he returned to China. She doesn't want to hang out with a playboy like Jin Taihao. Even if Jin Taihao covers up well, she won't be able to catch her eye. Don't care if I work for nothing for a year, just help me get rid of Jin Taihao. Chapter 2. I am Mu Yushu's husband. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. But Su Ming still shook his head. I'm not interested in money anymore. I've been scolded enough by your Mu family for over a year now. I want to regain my freedom. Forgive me for being unrestrained and love freedom. You. Mu Yushu suddenly fell silent, and a strong sense of disappointment flashed across his face. That's it, this man can't be relied on anymore. In an instant, Mu Yushu's eyes turned red, and she suddenly felt that she had been wronged to the extreme. The cold and handsome oval face also instantly darkened. Jin Taihao walked over and stared at Su Ming with a disdainful expression, sneering. I'm talking about Yushu. Do you have to go against me just because of such a useless person? Do you look down on me, or do you look up to this useless person too much? As the words fell, a glass of red wine in his hand poured directly onto Su Ming's face. Su Ming didn't hide. So suddenly, he was drenched all over his head, and his white shirt was also wet, like a drowned rat. The whole audience was shocked. Immediately, a burst of laughter erupted, and countless mocking gazes turned to Su Ming. However, Su Ming didn't take it seriously and continued to stick to his chopsticks, holding on to the cabbage. After all, there are still 3 days left before he gets divorced, and he doesn't want to make any mistakes. More importantly, his internal injuries have not fully healed yet. Otherwise, he would have killed Jin Taihao with just one blow and could have fully recovered. Mu Yushu couldn't bear it anymore and stood up, glaring angrily at Jin Taihao, even shouting loudly. Jin Taihao, are you going too far? Jin Taihao's face stiffened, and he instantly felt like a cat with its tail stepped on. He was filled with resentment, and the woman he admired was actually protecting this useless person. Am I excessive? Mu Yushu, are you just scolding me for his sake? He's not a waste. I told you, he's my husband. Mu Yushu spoke coldly. This sound also echoed throughout the entire banquet hall. After all, everyone knows that Jin Taihao came from Mu Yushu. In this hall, the Jin family holds the highest position among the families, so everyone naturally believes that it will only be a matter of time before Jin Taihao takes Mu Yushu. But no one could have imagined that Mu Yushu would openly reject Jin Taihao like this. So in an instant, Jin Taihao suddenly felt extremely embarrassed. Suddenly, Su Ming stood up and nodded coldly at Jin Taihao. That's right, I'm her husband. What's up with you? Upon hearing this, Jin Taihao's face was instantly filled with anger, and he glared at Su Ming with disdain. He immediately roared. Get out of here. Who doesn't know you're just a tool for the Mu family's happiness? You're just a waste, do you really think you're something? Su Ming smiled instead of being angry, but there was a hint of determination on his face. That's right. I'm not something, but I'm Mu Yushu's husband. Jin Taihao sneered with disdain, you're a damn husband. I am Mu Yushu's husband. Su Ming suddenly raised his voice, which not only echoed through the entire hall but also gave a deafening sensation. Jin Taihao raised his eyebrows and felt the gaze cast by the whole audience, and his face instantly became cloudy. This waste. This is intentionally yelling and attracting the attention of the whole audience. However, without waiting for Jin Taihao to speak, Su Ming picked up a plate of chopped peppers on the table with a posture of about to splash them over. So, young Master Jin, please don't pester married women, as it will only make you appear very dirty. By the way, you just spilled on me. Apologize quickly. If you don't apologize, I'll pour you this plate of chopped peppers. I'm just a useless son.in.law of the Mu family. I don't have a good reputation, so I'm not important. But if you keep walking out like this all over, I believe you will become tomorrow's headline. Jin Taihao was stunned. He never imagined that a useless son.in.law would dare to threaten him. For a moment, he felt both indignant and conflicted in his heart. Should he apologize to this useless person? Upon reading Mu Yushu, a hint of surprise flashed across her pretty face. Today is really amazing. How could this useless person still have such a momentum? Is this still Su Ming she knows? If Su Ming had such an imposing presence before, how could she be so suppressed by the family? You should know that for over a year, Su Ming has always been submissive, unable to fight back or scold back. This is truly a groundbreaking experience like today, much more beautiful than before, exuding a masculine aura all over. So Mu Yushu suddenly became obsessed with reading. She thought to herself, Su Ming, how great it would be if you had always been so imposing. I will definitely not bring up the matter of postponement, nor will I divorce. We can be a true couple. At this moment, Mu Qingyu had already walked towards this side, and when he heard Su Ming's words, his face suddenly turned cold. You should know that it was his idea to ask the family to help match Mu Yushu and Jin Taihao, which was said to be beneficial for the development of the family. But in fact, he did this to force Mu Yushu away, in order to facilitate his ascension. If Su Ming drives Jin Taihao away now, it will be very unfavorable for him. So as soon as she approached, Mu Qingyu threw a glass of red wine in her hand directly at Su Ming. Su Ming still didn't hide. He was splashed by Mu Qingyu, and his entire head was once again wet, with alcohol splashing from his head towards both sides. Now I've splashed you too. If you have the guts, just splash my plate of chopped peppers and see. You're just a dog from our Mu family. What do you think you're? Mu Qingyu scolded disdainfully and then walked up to Jin Taihao's side, continuing, Hao Shao, don't pay attention to him. He's just a waste. When we divorce him from Yushu, he'll be nothing. Jin Taihao nodded to Mu Qingyu, and when he looked at Su Ming again, he instantly regained his previous pride. Just now, I was intimidated by Su Ming's aura, but now when I hear Mu Qingyu's words, I feel like I'm overthinking. Just a useless son.in.law, for him, it's just that he's not even as good as a dog. Mu Yushu looked angry and glared at Mu Qingyu with phoenix eyes, sternly scolding. Mu Qingyu, are you crazy? Upon hearing this, Mu Qingyu immediately turned her head to refute Mu Yushu. You're crazy. He's just a tool for our Mu family's happiness. You offended Hao Shao for him. Ask everyone, who would agree? You. Mu Yushu wanted to refute, but when he saw the onlookers nodding in agreement, his words immediately froze. After all, Su Ming is a well-known tool for arousing joy, and she has nothing to refute. Besides, offending Jin Taihao now is very unfavorable for her Mu family. Once the Jin family divests from those 300 million projects, the Mu family's losses will not be 300 million anymore. Su Ming, let's go. Mu Yushu pulled Su Ming and turned around to walk away. Chapter 3. Surprisingly Rescued People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Stop them. Hurry up and stop them. Mu Qingyu waved to the two black suit bodyguards, indicating that they had intercepted Mu Yushu and Su Ming. Mu Yushu turned his head and glared at Mu Qingyu, roaring loudly. Mu Qingyu, what exactly do you want? Mu Qingyu snorted lightly and stared coldly at Su Ming. Ask him to bow his head and apologize to Hao Shao, otherwise he won't be able to leave here. Mu Yushu frowned and suddenly realized that Mu Qingyu was going too far tonight. Arrange Su Ming to sit next to the toilet and not look at him as a person. Now that I've spilled wine, how could I even ask Su Ming to bow down and apologize to Jin Taihao? Turning his head to glance at Su Ming, Mu Yushu felt strange. Because if it were changed to the previous Su Ming, he would definitely apologize immediately, but will Su Ming now apologize? Su Ming's face was cold and stern, with no intention of apologizing. Ah! My heart. In the crowd of onlookers, a bald old man in a white suit suddenly covered his heart and fell to the ground. In an instant, the female guests screamed one after another. The male guests who were close to the old man with a flat head also dispersed one after another. The old man with a flat head looked uncomfortable and waved at the person next to him, "Help me." Someone was very bold and went forward to search the pockets and pants of the old man's clothes, but found that there were no medicines. "That's it, this old man didn't bring any medicine. Hurry up and call an ambulance." Upon hearing this, Su Ming immediately shook off Mu Yushu and quickly walked towards the old man with a flat head. "Su Ming, what are you doing?" Mu Yushu couldn't help but change his face slightly when he saw Su Ming's strange behavior. Su Ming ignored Mu Yushu and took out a bag of silver needles. He quickly twisted out a few silver needles and injected them into the old man's right arm. "You guy. It's over. With so many people here, no one dares to come forward for treatment. What kind of trouble do you think you're causing?" Mu Yushu pondered inwardly, her pretty face already shrouded in darkness, and her delicate body trembled slightly. Because the Mu family is engaged in the production of medicinal herbs, and those uncles, including her father, have some understanding of medical skills. The old man is seriously ill now, and if he cannot be cured, he will be sued for his life. She had never heard of Su Ming's medical skills, so she was worried that Su Ming might be acting recklessly. Jin Taihao had a cold expression on his face, his eyes mockingly looking at Su Ming, and then he waved his arms and shouted to everyone. "Everyone, let's take a look. It's just a door trash who dares to randomly puncture the elderly person. This is clearly murder." As soon as these words were spoken, everyone criticized Su Ming one after another. Su Ming ignored everyone and quickly untied the old man's clothes, flipping his body over and making him lie on the ground. Then he twisted a silver needle and quickly inserted it into the acupoints on the old man's spine, such as Yuchuan acupoint. The old man felt almost pale and instantly regained his rosy complexion, and his breathing gradually became smooth. Suddenly, everyone shut up. After all, now everyone can see that it was Su Ming who rescued this old man. "Grandpa." A woman with milk tea-colored long hair wearing a blue dress and black-framed glasses hurriedly walked over. The woman's skin color is very snow-white, and her figure is also very tall. The only downside is that she has a large black mole on the left side of her delicate nose. "How is my grandfather doing? Did he have a heart attack?" Su Ming glanced at Du Bingyan and nodded. "Don't worry, he'll be fine in 10 minutes. Upon hearing Su Ming's words, Du Bingyan immediately felt relieved because she saw that her grandfather's face had turned normal. "Young man, my name is Du Xiang. Thank you for taking the initiative to save me. If it weren't for you, I would have died." Su Ming gently shook his head, twirling the silver needle on Du Shiheng's spine while sighing. "I just suppressed your hair once, which is nothing. If you want to cure it completely, you will have to find someone to use acupuncture and moxibustion." Upon hearing this, Du Bingyan frowned slightly and said, "Brother. Can you cure my grandfather?" "Of course I can. But I'm afraid you can't afford my treatment fee, so when the time comes." Su Ming's words were instantly interrupted by Du Bingyan. "Money is not a problem, as long as it can completely cure my grandfather." Du Bingyan took out a gilded business card and handed it to Su Ming. Mu Yushu's pretty face was gloomy, and as he watched Su Ming take Du Bingyan's gilded business card, his heart was filled with jealousy. "This bastard! How could you take another woman's business card in front of me? Do you think I don't exist anymore?" 10 minutes later. After Su Ming pulled out the needle, Du Xiang really stood up, looking completely fine. Everyone was shocked, and no one could have imagined that the appearance of almost dying just now had actually improved. The Mu family's son-in-law is really capable, he actually saved people's lives. Who says this is useless? Even acute heart patients can be cured, is this still useless? The Mu family is really incompetent. They even dare to step forward to save a useless person, but not a single member of the Mu family steps forward. Suddenly, the Mu family was pushed to the forefront of the storm. The guests all looked at the old lady sitting at the main table, wanting to see what the old lady said. The old lady's face was gloomy, as if her old face was burning fiercely. She never imagined that Su Ming, this useless person, could even save people. So for a moment, she didn't know what to say about Su Ming, so she waved to her children to greet the guests. Of course, she wouldn't let anyone drive Su Ming away at this moment, so as not to let others say that the Mu family is ignorant. Su Ming had no intention of staying, so he turned around and walked towards the plate of chopped peppers. Jin Taihao thought that Su Ming was going to apologize, and his face was filled with arrogance, looking at Su Ming with disdainful eyes. If you want to apologize, then kneel down. Otherwise, I will never forgive you. However, Su Ming picked up the plate of chopped peppers and threw it directly at Jin Taihao. Ah! The female guests screamed in an instant when they saw this scene. Jin Taihao took 2 steps back, his face full of astonishment. He never expected that Su Ming would dare to stomp his feet all over him. Su Ming threw down the plate and walked straight towards the exit. Upon reading Mu Yushu, she quickly followed Su Ming. Mu Qingyu frowned and looked at Su Ming's back in astonishment. He felt that Su Ming was going crazy. Even if given 10 courage, he wouldn't dare to throw Jin Taihao like this. But Su Ming did so. A despicable son.in.law who publicly splashed Jin Taihao and left like this. Jin Taihao was so angry that he trembled all over. He never thought that one day he would be splashed all over by Su Ming, and suddenly felt ashamed today. The guests next to him were all taking photos with their phones, which made him even more unhappy. No photos allowed. No photos allowed. However, at this moment, no one paid attention to Jin Taihao's words. After all, Jin Taihao took photos and posted them on his social media, making it easier to gather likes. In an instant, Jin Taihao became an internet celebrity, earning him the nickname, Brother with Chopped Peppers. Su Ming, you bastard. How dare you publicly attack me? Wait, I will never give up on this matter. Chapter 4. Yao Yao, there's no need to beg him. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the protection of the bodyguards, Jin Taihao awkwardly exited the hall and got into the elevator. It's impossible to leave the hotel immediately like this, he needs to go to the upstairs suite to change into a new set of clothes. Upstairs, Jin Taihao took a hot bath and changed into a new blue suit. Later, he sat down on the sofa in the lobby and dialed an incredibly familiar number with his phone. Turkey brother, you must help me with this matter. If you don't kill Su Ming, this useless person, I won't be able to calm down. Xinyuan Community, Unit C, Room 1202. After Su Ming and Mu Yushu got married, they moved into this wedding house, but the two of them actually slept in separate rooms, just a nominal couple. Upon returning from the Jinhao Hotel, Su Ming immediately packed up his clothes. Mu Yushu followed back and saw Su Ming packing his clothes, his face immediately turned cold. Su Ming, what do you mean by this? I'll get divorced in 3 days. Why don't I pack up first and leave here? You'll end up quiet too. Su Ming too didn't lift his head, he didn't even glance at Mu Yushu, his expression appeared indifferent. Mu Yushu frowned and grabbed Su Ming's black luggage, pouring out all his clothes. I haven't agreed to divorce, you must never leave here. Why do you need to do this? Everyone, just gather and disperse. Su Ming was somewhat surprised, but shook his head at Mu Yushu and sighed. Good to gather and good to scatter. Mu Yushu's eyes were full of unwillingness and his heart was very unhappy. Why does he propose a divorce to himself as a useless person? Even if she really wants to divorce, the contract will expire and she will take the initiative to bring it up. Su Ming, did I give you face, so you think you can bully me? Su Ming was taken aback and looked at Mu Yushu in astonishment, with a raised eyebrow. And according to the contract rules, it will expire in 3 days. As long as the two divorce, he will be free. For over a year, he has always been seen as a waste by everyone because he has become a shield for Mu Yushu. But all along, he has been investigating the mystery of the family's extermination and the traitors of the sect, and now the investigation is almost complete. So, he doesn't want to be Mu Yushu's shield anymore. It's better to gather and disperse. Upon hearing Mu Yushu, her delicate body trembled instantly, and she covered her heart with one hand. This sound of gathering and dispersing seemed to shatter all her dignity. Even if the two are fake spouses, shouldn't Su Ming continue to follow her? Besides, she is the most beautiful woman in Jinhua district of Jianghuai City, and this useless person doesn't even look up to her now. Cold and trembling. Su Ming, as I said, I will give you another 1 million for the money. Su Ming shook his head and said, no need. I just want a divorce. As for the money, you should know that I haven't touched a single penny of the 300,000 you gave me. Then, Su Ming took out a 10 yuan black leather wallet, took out a bank card from it, and threw it on the bed. Here. The bank card is here. Mu Yushu pouted her cherry lips and gave Su Ming a resentful look. Su Ming, I hate you. After saying these words, she immediately turned around and ran out. Su Ming took 2 steps, but his figure suddenly paused. He knew that this might make Mu Yushu sad, but he had no attachment to the Mu family. As for here, there is nothing to leave behind. So Su Ming tidied up this place again and put his clothes back in his luggage. But just as I packed up, my phone suddenly vibrated. Glancing at it, Su Ming realized that it was a message from his former neighbor Lin Yao. Minga, come and save my dad quickly. They're going to cut off my dad's hands. Lin Yao's father, Lin Yuanshan, was clearly setting up a stall on the street, so why was his hand chopped off? What's going on? Yao Yao, don't worry, I'll go out now. By the way, don't hang up the phone. Su Ming immediately left the house with a suitcase in hand. Upon arriving downstairs, Su Ming immediately drove away in a black Volkswagen SUV. However, Mu Yushu, who was crying in a white BMW, felt something was wrong when he saw Su Ming leave with such an angry expression. So she immediately drove a white BMW and secretly followed Su Ming. Quickly, 2 cars arrived at Gongming Street in Gongming District one after another. At this moment, on the roadside, a 3-wheeled motorcycle selling fried noodles had been smashed to pieces. On the ground next to him, a middle-aged man with a flat head curled up like a cat, howling mournfully. Several of his ribs had already been broken. A few men in floral shirts gathered around, with 3 men next to them. 2 of the men grabbed a girl with a pink pullover and a man with an airplane nose angrily scolded the middle-aged man. Old man, dare you let my younger brother eat dirty things like his hair? He's still lying in the hospital now. If you don't compensate him 10,000 yuan, I won't give up tonight. The middle-aged man is none other than Lin Yuanshan, who is in his early 50s and has a thin and frail physique. He is a famous night snack and stir-fried noodle vendor nearby. The girl next to her is his daughter Lin Yao, who is 20 years old and has a slender figure. She is wearing a white sports suit, appearing youthful and energetic. The man at the front of the plane was named Wang Yong. Seeing that Lin Yuanshan remained silent, he immediately cast his gaze on Lin Yao. Of course, if you let your daughter sleep with me for a month, I can consider not having to compensate you for this 10,000. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuanshan immediately angrily rebuked Wang Yong. You're not allowed to touch my daughter. If you dare to touch her, I'll do my best with you. Unexpectedly, Wang Yong raised his eyebrows and walked forward, stepping on Lin Yuanshan's face. Struggling with me. Even someone like you deserves it. A stinky vendor, what do you think you are? Lin Yao's face changed as she shouted angrily at Wang Yong. Don't step on my dad. Wang Yong chuckled and looked at Lin Yao with a playful expression on his face. Yo, you feel heartbroken. If you feel heartbroken, please beg me. As long as you beg me, I will definitely satisfy you. Suddenly, a shout came over, making one's heart tremble uncontrollably. Yao Yao, there's no need to beg him. This made Wang Yong's face darken and his anger slowly rise. Who is causing trouble here? There aren't many customers on the roadside, but now because Wang Yong is causing trouble here, no one dares to come over. One by one, they have all retreated to 5 meters away. After all, it's not a matter of personal concern. I saw a figure drifting towards me, and then Wang Yong was kicked away. With a loud bang, the other men saw Wang Yong fall to the ground in embarrassment. Ah ah ah. Wang Yong let out a mournful cry, feeling that his chin had been thrown askew. He covered his chin with one hand and began to roll on the ground. The person who came over was Su Ming. Even you thugs dare to bully honest people here in Gongming. You really don't know how to live or die. Chapter 5. Su Ming, you big bastard. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lin Yao saw that it was Su Ming and immediately looked ecstatic. Minga. Wang Yong heard the shouting and gritted his teeth, roaring angrily at the men. What are you still doing in a daze? Get me killed immediately. Several men reacted and swung their fists towards Su Ming. Su Ming quickly stood up and swung his palms to strike fiercely. As soon as Mu Yushu arrived nearby, he couldn't help but widen his eyes when he saw Su Ming fighting so hard. Because she had never seen such a powerful Su Ming before. Over the past year, Su Ming has always been the most cowardly man she has ever seen, unable to fight back or scold. So she always thought that Su Ming wouldn't hit people, but she didn't expect Su Ming to be so skilled. Su Ming, he's so powerful, why is he usually so cowardly? In no time, except for the 2 men who were holding on to Lin Yao, all other men had already been knocked down by Su Ming alone. Su Ming looked coldly at the 2 men and shouted sternly. Let go of her. The 2 men looked at each other and immediately released Lin Yao, waving their fists together and hitting Su Ming. Su Ming snorted coldly, waved his palms, and opened the fists of both of them, then slapped their hearts separately. The 2 of them were instantly hit by a locomotive, falling behind and flying out. Lin Yao looked at it and immediately ran to Su Ming's side. Wang Yong is dumbfounded. Why is this kid so powerful? No, I must leave immediately and find someone to come and retrieve the venue. Getting up, Wang Yong ran away, wanting to escape from here. A spatula suddenly flew over and hit Wang Yong's right calf. Ouch! Wang Yong suddenly felt a pang of pain and fell to the ground again. Su Ming didn't go to see Wang Yong, but turned around and walked towards Lin Yuanshan. Squatting down, he immediately took out a bag of silver needles and injected Lin Yuanshan with them. Lin Yao quickly walked forward and looked nervously at Lin Yuanshan, then at Su Ming. Minga, how's my dad doing? Su Ming sighed and continued to give Lin Yuanshan a few injections. There are multiple bruises on his body, and he has broken 3 ribs. I'm afraid your father won't be able to run a stall during this time. Lin Yao couldn't help but laugh and cry, looking at Lin Yuanshan with a pitiful expression on her face. What kind of stall is there? I've been advising him not to run a stall for a long time. I've already found a job to support him, but he just doesn't listen. Wang Yong eased the pain and looked at Su Ming and Lin Yao with envy in his eyes. He then took out his phone and dialed a call. Lao Ku, there's an accident on my end. Come over and support me quickly. Lin Yao noticed that Wang Yong was making a phone call and immediately pulled Su Ming's arm. Minga, he's shaking people. What should we do? Shake people. Su Ming's mouth curled up and his eyes playfully glanced at Wang Yong. It's okay, just let him shake people. You go to the nearby Jishitang clinic to find someone and send your father to the clinic for treatment first, otherwise he will be very uncomfortable. Upon receiving the order, Lin Yao immediately followed Su Ming's instructions and ran towards the clinic. At this moment, Mu Yushu walked over. Su Ming. Do you need my help to call an ambulance? Su Ming glanced at Mu Yushu and waved his hand. You go, we don't need your help here. When Wang Yong saw Mu Yushu, his eyes immediately became straight, his throat purred a few times, and he suddenly felt that the cells that had been killed by Su Ming had come back to life. This woman is so beautiful. If I could play with this woman, I would be willing to live a short life of 10 years. Su Ming noticed Wang Yong's strange gaze and his face instantly darkened. If you dare to have ulterior motives towards her, then you are doomed. Mu Yushu was taken aback, glanced at Wang Yong, and couldn't help but look disdainful. She hates this kind of bully the most. However, Su Ming's words warmed her heart, and this bastard still cared about her. Wang Yong's face turned cold, and his eyes were filled with resentment. Kid. I've already asked Lao Ku to bring someone over, you just wait to death. Upon hearing this, Mu Yushu immediately suggested to Su Ming, I'll report it to the police now. Get lost. Su Ming sternly scolded Mu Yushu, 3 days later, we will divorce at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Please don't pester me anymore. Mu Yushu's expression froze. She couldn't believe that she had come to help with her kindness, but Su Ming didn't appreciate it at all. Su Ming, you big bastard. After shouting this sentence, Mu Yushu immediately turned around and walked away. However, before driving away with the white BMW, she still picked up her phone and dialed a call for help. Mengqi, you know many people. I beg you to help me. Su Ming offended someone on Gongming Street. Please send someone over to rescue him quickly. The person on the other end of the phone is Chen Mengqi, Mu Yushu's good friend. The two have known each other for more than 10 years, from junior high school to college to graduation and work. Upon hearing Mu Yushu's words, Chen Mengqi was somewhat shocked because she had never heard Mu Yushu plead for help like this before. Don't worry, Yushu. I'll arrange for someone to go over now. Hanging up the phone, Mu Yushu started the BMW with a worried expression on his face. Su Ming, this is the last thing I will do for you. Once we divorce, I won't be protecting you anymore because I have no reason to protect you. On the motorcycle side, Su Ming made a phone call to help check tonight's revenue. As for the plates of fried noodles on the motorcycle, they have already been smashed and cannot be taken anymore. When Lin Yao brought someone over, he immediately handed over the revenue to Lin Yao. Take your dad to the clinic, then don't come over here. Take a good look at your dad, okay? Upon hearing this, Lin Yao immediately shook her head and stared nervously at Su Ming with a pretty face. What will you do then? Su Ming smiled faintly and said, don't worry, once I handle this place, I will go find you. Okay. Lin Yao nodded and immediately followed the people from the clinic to escort Lin Yuanshan to the other side of the clinic. Wang Yong watched as Lin Yao left, his face immediately turned sour, and then turned his head to glare at Su Ming, sternly scolding. Stinky kid, if you ruin my good deed, I will never let you go. Su Ming glanced at the vibrating phone but did not respond to Wang Yong. Wang Yong became angry and quickly picked up his phone to urge Lao Ku. Not long after, 5 silver-gray Wuling Hongguang vehicles drove towards this direction. As Wuling Hongguang stopped, a large group of men in black pullovers rushed out of the car. One of the bald men was exactly what Wang Yong referred to as Lao Ku, Kushirqiang, with a face full of flesh and a tall figure, dressed in gold and silver all over. Seeing that Wang Yong couldn't even stand up, Kushirqiang was amazed. He immediately glanced at Su Ming, but felt that Su Ming was ordinary. Kid, did you hit Wang Yong? You're really so brave. Wang Yong saw Kushirqiang with excitement on his face. Lao Ku, you immediately go to me and kill this stinky kid. Kushiqiang waved to the two men in black pullovers, gesturing for them to support Wang Yong. Looking at Su Ming again, he made a gesture to him. "Kid, you're really brave. Now kneel down and kowtow to me, I can consider giving you a chance to survive." Chapter 6. Just now you said you deposed me. You are listening at novel full.audio. Su Ming looked coldly at Kushiqiang and casually uttered a word. "Get lost." Upon hearing this, Kushiqiang's face instantly turned cloudy. Because no one has ever dared to speak to him like this. "Kid, it seems you're looking for death. Since that's the case, then I'll fulfill you." Wang Yong immediately instigated Kushiqiang and said, "Old Ku, this kid doesn't even take you seriously. Hurry up and depose him." Su Ming remained silent. He glanced at Wang Yong and then looked disdainfully at Kushiqiang and the others. Kushiqiang gritted his teeth and immediately waved at the men in the black pullover. "Give it all to me, waste this kid." The men in the black pullover were ordered to swing their fists as big as sandbags at Su Ming, as if intending to beat him into meat patties. However, as they approached Su Ming, he suddenly shook his body and charged towards them. "Ah ah!" A mournful cry sounded. Kushiqiang originally wanted to take out a hua zi and strike it, but his face stiffened instantly, and the hua zi in his hand fell to the ground. Because he couldn't believe that in just the blink of an eye, his person was knocked out by Su Ming. This bastard! With a roar, Kushiqiang quickly waved his fist and charged towards Su Ming. Su Ming stood still, looking at Kushiqiang with an indifferent expression, as if the person Kushiqiang was going to deal with was not him at all. But as soon as Kushiqiang approached, Su Ming quickly waved his palms and instantly blocked Kushiqiang's move. Kushiqiang's face changed in shock. He didn't expect Su Ming to be so skilled, but he was also unwilling to lose to Su Ming like this and quickly stepped up his attack. His fist kept hitting Su Ming's heart. Su Ming dodged left and right, constantly avoiding Kushiqiang's fist. With two swords striking, he immediately opened Kushiqiang's fist and then struck his palm towards Kushiqiang's heart. Kushiqiang couldn't avoid it at all and was instantly knocked out. The remaining few men in black pullovers were all shocked. They couldn't believe that Kushiqiang was not a match for Su Ming either. But they still swung their fists and hit Su Ming. Su Ming didn't hesitate to sweep them out directly. For a moment, the ground was filled with the mournful cries of men in black pullovers. Kushiqiang fell to the ground, but with a snort, he spewed out a mouthful of blood. He never expected that Su Ming would be as strong as ever. Wang Yong was dumbfounded again. He never imagined that Su Ming could defeat Kushiqiang and the others. Su Ming walked towards Wang Yong with a murderous aura all over his body. Wang Yong's throat tightened and he spoke out in fear, "You don't come over." However, Su Ming walked forward and stepped on Wang Yong's injured right calf. With a click, the right calf broke instantly. "Ah ah!" Wang Yong let out a mournful cry. He couldn't believe that Su Ming would have disabled his right calf. Su Ming looked indifferent and said, "Did you just say you deposed me?" Wang Yong's face turned pale with pain, and he could no longer speak. But at this moment, he knew he had provoked someone he shouldn't have provoked. Kushiqiang and the others dared not speak up, because they all saw that Su Ming was definitely a ruthless person. Su Ming warned Wang Yong, "If I see you bullying the weak again, I will definitely not spare you." At this moment, a black Maybach drove towards us. As the car stopped, a slender woman in black leather walked out of the car. She walked straight towards Su Ming and knelt down on one knee, showing great respect for him. "Young master." Su Ming nodded and then crawled into the black Maybach. Kushiqiang furrowed his brow and his face suddenly changed. If it's dealing with ordinary people, he can be reckless. But people like Su Ming, who can ride in luxury cars and have such a woman picking them up and dropping them off, seem to have a big reputation. How foolish did he offend such people? The woman in black leather glanced at Kushirqiang and the others, but waved a dagger in her hand and then turned her head to ask Su Ming in the car for advice. "Young master, do you need to silence them all?" Upon hearing this, Kushirqiang couldn't help but tremble all over, because he could see that this woman must have amazing skills, and the murderous aura all over her was beyond his reach. Su Ming responded calmly, "No need. Just these little brats, if I want to kill them, 2 fingers will be enough. Let's go, I want to go see Lin Yuanshan." The woman in black leather immediately turned around and returned to the car, then drove away. Watching Maybach go further, Kushirqiang breathed a sigh of relief. What kind of person was that kid just now? Suddenly, a large number of black vans drove over. As the convoy stopped, a group of strong men in white shirts rushed out of the car and quickly surrounded Kushirqiang and the others. After learning about it, one of the burly men pulled out his phone and dialed a phone number. "Miss, others have already left, the situation is a bit strange. Are you leaving?" "You wait, I'm here." Chen Mingqi's voice came from the other end of the phone. Because these strong men in white shirts were arranged by Chen Mingqi to rescue Su Ming, little did they know that Su Ming had already left. Soon, a white Maserati CEO drove over. As soon as she stopped, a woman with long hair walked out of the car. A melon seed face is very delicate, with fair skin. Wearing a well-fitted red dress, it perfectly outlines the curves of the figure, appearing both slim and very feminine. And she is exactly Mu Yushu's best friend, Chen Mingqi, the miss of the Chen family in Tianhe district of Jianghuai City. Unlike Mu Yushu's cold and elegant temperament, Chen Mingqi is like a wine-red rose, cold and charming yet enthusiastic. She always works with great enthusiasm and exudes a strong aura. Upon receiving a call from Mu Yushu, Chen Mingqi came towards her, but she didn't expect to be late. What exactly is going on here? When the burly man saw Chen Mingqi, he immediately recounted the matter in detail. After listening, Chen Mingqi was shocked because in her impression, Su Ming was completely a waste, and waste should be powerless. She glanced at the surveillance cameras on the roadside and immediately took out her phone to make a call. 10 minutes later, the surveillance video on the street was sent to Chen Mingqi's phone. After watching the surveillance video, Chen Mingqi was even more shocked. From the video, it can be confirmed that Kushirqiang and his team did not lie. It was really Su Ming who alone defeated them all. This completely overturned all of Chen Mingqi's impressions of Su Ming. Thinking of her asking someone to investigate what Su Ming did at the Mu family's old prince's birthday banquet, she felt that Su Ming might not be as simple as she thought. Did this bastard pretend before? So, he can really hold back. Chapter 7. This trash is really reversed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The burly man looked at it and quickly asked, "Miss, do we still need to search and scrape Su Ming?" Chen Mingqi shook her head gently and said, "No need. I asked you to come over originally to save someone. Since he's fine now, then there's no problem." The burly man nodded and then looked at Kushirqiang and the others. "What about them? Should we send them to the police station?" Chen Mingqi glanced at Kushirqiang and the others. "No need. That would only cause trouble for the police station. Since Su Ming let them go, let them go. However, if they dare to cause trouble on Gongming Street next time, then they will give me their limbs. My Chen family is currently taking over the new CBD project in Gongming Street. If it's because they have damaged the street's image, they will be dead." Kushirqiang quickly shook his head and said, "No. We won't cause trouble here again in the future." Although the local Chen family is only a small family, he heard that the local Chen family is backed by the Chen family in the capital and has a very strong family background. If he offends the local Chen family, there is a possibility of offending the Chen family in the capital. The Chen family in the capital is a super family, and if he offends the Chen family in the capital, it is equivalent to starting a rebellion on the head of the Tai Sui. Chen Mingqi ignored Ku Shiqiang and went back to Maserati CEO before driving away from here. Ku Shiqiang breathed a sigh of relief and suddenly realized that he had turned around at the entrance of hell and escaped a disaster. If I run into Su Ming again next time, I'm afraid he'll have to take a detour. But he always felt that Su Ming looked a bit familiar, but he couldn't remember it for a moment. Although Chen Mingqi left, the strong men in white shirts had not yet left, and the flat-headed strong man walked up to Ku Shiqiang. Remember our young lady's words, if you bring someone to cause trouble in Gongming Street next time, you will be dead. Ku Shiqiang quickly shook his head. He didn't think the other party was joking and naturally didn't dare to refute anything. Watching the flat-headed men in their van leave, he finally turned to Wang Yong. If it weren't for Wang Yong, he might still be eating barbecue at the food stall tonight. Wang Yong, you bastard. Give him another beating. Don't do it. Wang Yong quickly exclaimed, but couldn't resist the punches and kicks of the men in the black pullover, and finally fainted. At this moment, in a ward of the Jisher Medical Center, Lin Yao looked worried and furrowed her brows. Although Lin Yuanshan had stabilized on his side, she didn't know how Su Ming was doing. Just as Lin Yao was about to give Su Ming a call, Su Ming strode in. "Brother Ming, are you okay?" Lin Yao quickly asked. Su Ming shook his head and smiled calmly, "Of course I'm fine. What can I do? Is your dad okay?" Lin Yao also shook her head, but when she looked at Lin Yuanshan, her pretty face was instantly filled with a worried expression. At this moment, Lin Yuanshan sneered and said, "Shao Su, I'm sorry to trouble you this time." "Uncle Lin, you're welcome. You've helped me so much before, I can't just face death without saving you." Su Ming went forward to inspect Lin Yuanshan and immediately comforted Lin Yao. "Don't worry, Uncle Lin is fine. As long as he stays calm and recuperates, he should be able to recover soon." Lin Yao nodded quickly, but when she thought of Wang Yong and the others, she was still very worried. "Brother Ming, those people won't trouble you, will they? Why don't we call the police?" Su Ming shook his head and said, "There's no need to call the police. I've already solved this matter. If they dare to trouble you again in the future, give me a call and I'll teach them a lesson." Lin Yao nodded, but showed a hesitant expression. Su Ming looked at it and immediately walked out of the ward with Lin Yao. "If you have anything to say, just say it directly." Lin Yao smiled awkwardly and said, "Actually, I saw my sister.in.law just now. Did I ask for your help, so my sister.in.law got angry. How about I go and explain it to her myself?" Su Ming shook his head and said, "No need. She likes to get angry, that's her business, so don't worry too much. By the way, do you know where nearby is cheaper to rent a house? I want to rent a room." Previously, his rental was next door to Lin Yuanshan's rental, but now that rental must have been sublet. Lin Yao looked surprised, but still nodded. "I remember someone was renting a house. Let me ask for you." "Wait a minute." So Lin Yao immediately took out her phone and quickly dialed a call. Su Ming sat on the bench in the corridor, patiently waiting. In no time, his phone rang. He took it out and found that it was a call from his mother. In.law Mu Yushu, and immediately pressed the answer button. On the other end of the phone came the roaring voice of Mu Yushu, "Where did you die, you trash? Where did you take Yushu? Do you know that your reckless behavior tonight has caused great embarrassment to the old lady, to me, and to the entire Mu family? I'll tell you, get out of here immediately." However, Su Ming did not finish listening, but interrupted sharply, "I don't know where she is. If you want to know, go find her." After speaking, he hung up the phone directly. Lin Yao just finished the phone call and saw Su Ming's angry face. She thought she had offended Su Ming, and her delicate body trembled slightly, her face tense. "Minga, I have contacted the tenant and she asked you to come over now. I will send the address to your WeChat for you to take a look." Su Ming nodded and immediately signaled for Lin Yao to stay here, then walked out alone. Looking at Su Ming's back, Lin Yao suddenly felt very uncomfortable. Wait, Minga. I will graduate soon, and I will definitely help you pick yourself up when the time comes. On the other side, in the eastern suburbs of Jinhua district, there is the Fuse Generation Villa area. In the lobby of a villa, a middle-aged woman was so angry that her eyes were filled with smoke. She was exactly Mu Yushu, Su Ming's mother. Law. Due to Su Ming and Mu Yushu causing trouble this time, the old lady poured all her anger on her head. Originally, she gave Su Ming a phone call with the intention of cursing him severely, but she didn't expect Su Ming to dare to hang up her phone. Even if he dials back, Su Ming doesn't even answer at all. This trash is really the opposite. The middle-aged man next to him was Su Ming's father. Law, Du Wenkai, who was also a son. Law who came to visit. He felt very puzzled about what Su Ming did tonight, but he felt that Su Ming had more masculinity tonight. For him, another son. Law who dares to cause trouble is someone worthy of his praise. Of course, he never dares to offend his wife in front of her. Wife, don't be angry anymore. Let's see if we can contact Yushu and solve the family meeting tomorrow. Mu Yushu gave Du Wenkai a white glance and snorted softly, what's the use of looking at you? Hurry up and find Yushu for me. If she doesn't come over tomorrow to participate in the family response, you'll be dead. Du Wenkai looked innocent, but he didn't dare to talk back. He still took out his phone and called someone to search for Mu Yushu. However, after searching all night, the couple didn't know where Mu Yushu had gone, as if Mu Yushu had already evaporated from the human world. Chapter 8. Divorce, are you satisfied? You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. According to Lin Yao, Su Ming quickly found a newly developed residential area, Dongyuan apartment community. Then, Su Ming asked the woman in black leather to drive away, while he carried his suitcase alone to room 1203 in the 3rd unit building. After ringing the doorbell, someone quickly came to open the door. A woman wearing a purple tight yoga suit with a meatball head glanced at Su Ming and nodded in satisfaction. You are the Su Ming that Yao Yao said, right? It's me. Su Ming nodded, but noticed the other party's guard and did not immediately enter. Instead, he asked calmly, are you sure you want to rent it out here? I'll rent it for 6 months and I can pay you the rent directly. Do you think this is okay? The woman with a happy expression on her face said, of course. You can change your shoes and come in. I have prepared a pair of slippers for you here. By the way, my name is Guan Linghui, just call me Linghui. Su Ming followed Guan Linghui in and only then did he realize that the house was a 4-bedroom, 2-living-room apartment, decorated in an American style of light luxury, with light blue and brown sofas. There are many yoga mats on the ground, clearly indicating that Guan Linghui is still doing yoga. When he arrived at the house assigned by Guan Linghui, he walked directly in with a suitcase. The house had nothing but a large bed and a desk, not even a wardrobe. Guan Linghui sneered and said, the room is a bit rudimentary. If you need anything, you can purchase it yourself. Su Ming had no objections and directly took out his phone, added Guan Linghui's WeChat, and transferred half a year's rent to her. And Guan Linghui immediately introduced the situation of this house to Su Ming. Su Ming only then found out that besides Guan Linghui, there were 2 beautiful women living here, one named Zhao Xian, who was a female assistant in a certain company, another one is called Ling Shueshi, who is a customer manager at a certain bank. Due to the presence of a private bathroom in this room, Su Ming took a hot shower and immediately fell asleep. In the next 2 days, Su Ming didn't go anywhere, so he didn't meet those other 2 beautiful women either. On the 3rd day, Su Ming and Mu Yushu agreed to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau in Jinhua District. When Su Ming arrived, Mu Yushu waited at the entrance of the front hall. Mu Yushu was wearing a pure white dress, her eyes flushed, her fiery red lips slightly parted, and her long hair draped over her shoulders was a bit messy. Anyway, standing here, she is holding a brown shoulder bag in both hands, which is also a beautiful scenery that is very eye-catching. Without saying a word, the two of them went to the divorce registration office together to fill out forms and queue up. Quickly, both of them obtained their divorce certificates. But the people who came here to register, including the registrar, were all very regretful because they never expected that Su Ming would divorce a peerless mortal like Mu Yushu. It's simply crazy. If I had such a beautiful wife, even if I were beaten to death, I wouldn't divorce. This man is a fool, isn't he? This kind of fairy-like wife just says don't want it, and then doesn't want it. How do I feel? These two people are a bit familiar. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Mu Yushu suddenly stood still and stared at Su Ming with a resentful expression on his face. Divorced, are you satisfied? Su Ming nodded, but still sighed at Mu Yushu. It's pretty good, everyone is good to gather and disperse. Upon hearing this, Mu Yushu immediately rushed forward and swung his fists fiercely towards Su Ming. You bastard! I'll never talk to you again in the future. Su Ming could actually dodge, but he didn't dodge and let Mu Yushu vent his anger. He waved to the black Maybach not far away, signaling that the people in the car should not come over. The person on black Maybach is a woman in black leather, named Tang Ningxuan. Although Su Ming did not allow her to interfere in the affairs of the Mu family, she did not have a good impression of Mu Yushu. For her, Mu Yushu is an ignorant woman who doesn't know how to cherish good men like Su Ming. After Mu Yushu finished venting, she squatted on the ground and burst into tears. Su Ming didn't leave either, he didn't leave either. He had to take out a tissue and hand it to Mu Yushu. Mu Yushu caught the tissue and immediately wiped away the tears on his face. We are not originally from the same world, life is like a siege. I am inside the siege, you are outside the siege, and you are free. However, if you offended Jin Taihao that day, he will definitely not let you go. Be careful yourself. Also, although I am divorcing you now, this matter will definitely be known by others and they will also pester you. As for your Su families too. Day worship day, I will still go there. After speaking these words in one breath, Mu Yushu immediately got into her white BMW and quickly drove away from here. Su Ming's face darkened instantly as he thought of the day of worship. 20 years ago, the Su family was a small family in Jianghuai City, but they were brutally wiped out overnight. However, Su Ming escaped a disaster due to going out for medical treatment, and was later arranged to be sent to a welfare institution. He was also picked by the head of the Tianyi sect and went up the mountain for more than 10 years. But when Su Ming went down the mountain, he was ambushed and injured himself. The external injury had already healed, but the internal injury was still not fully healed. Due to encountering Mu Yushu on the way, Su Ming became a tool for the Mu family's happiness, hoping that the seriously ill old man could recover physically under the happiness. Thinking of the family being exterminated, Su Ming felt a deep pain in his heart. Returning to the black Maybach, Su Ming immediately took out his phone and dialed it, asking someone to send a clue of the Su family's extermination to his phone. Tang Ningxuan didn't dare ask any more questions when she saw Su Ming looking like this. But when Su Ming put down his phone, she quickly prompted, "Young master, Guan Linghui is the daughter of the Guan family in Gongming district. She is currently following you. Do you need me to warn her?" Upon hearing this, Su Ming immediately shook his head and said, "No need. If she likes to follow, she will follow and it won't affect us." Is there anything special? Tang Ningxuan nodded lightly and said, "There's something. There's someone from the Chu family in Tianjing, and I'm planning for you to take a look at their old man." Su Ming frowned and said, "The Chu family in Tianjing. Since they have found them, let's go over now." Tang Ningxuan didn't start the car and continued to report, "By the way. There's one more thing, the Shao family will hold a commercial cocktail party tomorrow night, and they invited you to participate. The electronic invitation letter has been sent over. Su Ming looked indifferent and said, "Remind me to come over tomorrow night." Before he could finish speaking, he immediately cut off the conversation because he noticed a Maserati CEO driving towards Maybach. As the car stopped, Chen Mingqi immediately got off the car and slapped the window on Su Ming's side. Upon seeing it, Su Ming could only roll down the car window. Chen Mingqi looked coldly at Su Ming and sternly scolded, "Su Ming, you're really capable. Where did Yushu provoke you? You actually made her cry." Chapter 9. Ask her to apologize to Hao Shao. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Tang Ningxuan wanted to speak, but was stopped by Su Ming waving her hand. Su Ming looked indifferent and said, "I have already divorced her." Chen Mingqi frowned and suddenly didn't know what to say. She naturally knew that the two had divorced because she had always been staring at Mu Yushu, but she saw Su Ming's estrangement from her. In the past, when she went to Mu Yushu, Su Ming was very respectful to her. At that time, she also looked down on Su Ming and thought that men like him were too cowardly. But now, she knows that Su Ming is not simple, just his aura makes her feel shocked. Besides, at the end of the day, she is just an outsider, and it's really not her turn to decide what the couple wants to divorce. Su Ming was too lazy to pay attention to Chen Mingqi and waved to Tang Ningxuan. Tang Ningxuan immediately started the car and left here. Chen Mingqi's face darkened as she watched the other party's car drive away. This scumbag. Can't he have fallen in love with some rich woman? How could he ride such a good car? Although Su Ming has good skills, Chen Mingqi does not believe that Su Ming has the money to afford a limited edition luxury car worth over 4 million yuan, such as the Maybach. On the other side, Guan Linghui on a black Audi car was already dumbfounded. She didn't expect to see Chen Mingqi come to intercept Su Ming. As the daughter of the Guan family, she naturally knew Chen Mingqi, but the two were not familiar with each other. Surprisingly, Su Ming has divorced Mu Yushu. What is the situation? Is it that he has moved on to Chen Mingqi? It doesn't look like it. Anyway, once the news of Mu Yushu's divorce spreads, it is likely to immediately become a hot topic. Where did Su Ming, the son-in-law of the Mu family, who has always been praised as a waste, find Maybach? For a moment, Guan Linghui was full of curiosity about Su Ming. So, Guan Linghui immediately took out her phone and gave Lin Yao a call. But Lin Yao only knew that Su Ming was actually the grandson of the Su family, and she had no other knowledge. This made Guan Linghui even more curious. She didn't think the Mu family would give Su Ming a $4 million Maybach. She originally planned to send someone to thoroughly investigate Su Ming, but thought that Su Ming had already paid half a year's rent, so she still gave up the idea of conducting a thorough investigation. Never mind, I'll wait until there's a chance in the future and slowly question him to see what his background is. Just as she was about to drive away, Guan Linghui found her phone ringing. Glancing at it, she saw that it was her mother Yi Fanfong calling and immediately pressed the answer button. On the other end of the phone came Yi Fanfong's scolding voice, "Guan Linghui, you should come back tonight. Yu Shao will come over to our house for dinner. Another blind date." Guan Linghui furrowed her eyebrows and her pretty face instantly became cloudy. "Mom, how many times have I said that I don't want blind dates? I don't want blind dates. Why can't you listen?" Yi Fanfong immediately retorted, "Why should I listen? Are you mom, or am I mom? I'm your mom, so you have to listen to me. Besides, Yu Shao has a talented appearance. Where else can't he match you? If you continue to pick and choose like this, you will become an elderly leftover woman. So, don't tell me anything else. You must come back tonight. If you dare not come back, I will have you arrested." Upon hearing these words, Guan Linghui felt a headache, but she still chose to comply with Yi Fanfong. Alright, I'll just go back tonight. But when I say ugly things, my judgment on people is different from yours." Without waiting for Yi Fanfong to respond, Guan Linghui hung up the phone directly. I don't know when it started, but whenever she received calls from her mother about blind dates, she felt chest tightness. So she immediately released her right palm and patted her chest. Should I rent a boyfriend to go home? If. Inexplicably, the image of Su Ming suddenly came to Guan Linghui's mind. At this moment, Mu Yushu, who had left the Civil Affairs Bureau, drove directly back to the Mu family courtyard in the southern suburbs of Jinhua district. In the hall, the Mu family has already gathered here. A family meeting had already been held 3 days ago, and this time the family meeting was held again because the Mu family was suppressed by the Jin family. Due to the critical illness of the old man of the Mu family, they were unable to undertake any major projects, resulting in a continuous decline in the Mu family's economy over the years. Even if the old man's health has improved during this period, he cannot lead the group, and the Mu family still cannot withstand the suppression of the Jin family. Although both the Mu family and the Jin family are small families, the development momentum of the Jin family is very strong. On the contrary, the Mu family ranks last among all small families. That is to say, the assets of the Jin family are as high as 50 billion yuan, and the assets of the Mu family are only 10 billion yuan. The comprehensive strength of the Mu family is not as good as that of the Jin family. As soon as Mu Yushu entered, she felt the hostile gaze from everyone. Mu Qingyu saw Mu Yushu and immediately stood up, pointing her finger at him and sternly scolding him. Mu Yushu, take a look at what you have done. Our Mu family used to be good, but now you have offended Hao Shao and caused such heavy losses to our Mu family. What should you do? Mu Yushu gave Mu Qingyu a white glance and then turned to the old lady. The old lady's face was gloomy, and she stared coldly at Mu Yushu. Mu Yushu, this time the Jin family is suppressing our Mu family and even cancelling a major project worth 300 million yuan. What do you think should be done? Upon hearing this, Mu Yushu's eyebrows furrowed instantly, but she still stepped forward and bowed to the old lady. I'm sorry, old lady. It's all my fault this time. If you want to punish me, then punish me. The old lady gritted her teeth and looked a bit conflicted, because among the grandchildren of the Mu family, the one she had the greatest appreciation for was actually Mu Yushu. Over the past 3 years, Mu Yushu has also made some contributions to the Mu family, including the cancellation of the 300 million project by the Jin family, which is also the largest project that the Mu family has ever obtained. However, although Mu Yushu has outstanding abilities, he is too stubborn and lacks understanding of human relationships. He chose a useless son-in-law like Su Ming as his doorstep. How should Mu Yushu be punished this time? Upon seeing it, Mu Yueying quickly stood up and said, Old Tai Jun, why don't you give Yushu another chance? How about letting her apologize to Hao Shao? Mu Yushu immediately straightened his waist and shook his head at Mu Yueying, I can't apologize to Jin Taihao or anything. He was splashed by Su Ming, and that was his own fault. Mu Yueying's eyes widened instantly and her face was full of anger. You rebellious son, you still want to protect that useless Su Ming. What qualifications does he have to throw Hao Shao? If he doesn't respect others, then he doesn't deserve their respect, said Mu Yushu with righteousness. Mu Yueying had a resentful expression on her face. She glanced at the furious old lady and quickly scolded Mu Yushu. Enough. Are you trying to anger me, a mother? Why don't you kneel down and apologize to the old lady? Chapter 10. Giving up the position of the president. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Unexpectedly, Mu Qingyu sneered, kneel down and admit your mistake. Is this kneeling down to admit your mistake? As the president of our Mu family Mu Yu group, Mu Yushu should consider our group's interests in everything. Since she can't do it, she doesn't deserve to sit in this CEO position. She must give up the CEO position. Regarding the appointment of Mu Yushu as the CEO, Mu Qingyu has always held a grudge in his heart, believing that he is more qualified to serve as the CEO of Mu Yu Group. Mu Yushu gave Mu Qingyu a white glance, and she naturally saw that Mu Qingyu was about to pull herself off the horse. But she knew that it was pointless to argue with Mu Qingyu in anger, and it all depended on how the old lady handled it. So, she immediately turned her head to look at the old lady. The old lady nodded at Mu Qingyu, then looked coldly at Mu Yushu and spoke in a stern voice. Qingyu makes sense. As the CEO, you should consider everything for our Muyu group. However, this time, you have caused our Muyu group to be in crisis. So this time, you should also be responsible. Let's give up your position as CEO and hand it over to someone more capable. Additionally, you must personally go to the Jin family and apologize to Hao Shao. Mu Yushu's face changed as she couldn't believe that old Tai Jun had stepped down from his position as CEO due to this matter. Of course, she is also well aware that the Jin family has cancelled the 300 million project, and she naturally has to take responsibility. She just assumed that the old lady would give her another chance to search for a big project again. She didn't expect that the old lady didn't give him any chance this time. Old Tai Jun, I have no complaints about giving up the position of CEO. However, I will not apologize to Jin Taihao. Upon hearing this, the old lady frowned and a hint of anger flashed through her old eyes. What do you mean by this? Is it difficult for my old lady's words to work? Mu Yushu shook his head and said, it was Jin Taihao who was at fault for this incident. I didn't need to apologize to him. Also, Mu Qingyu is responsible for this matter. Upon hearing this, Mu Qingyu immediately looked displeased and sternly scolded, are you crazy? It was your fault this time, so why should I take responsibility? Mu Yushu casually said, our husband and wife are already quite good. It was you who brought Jin Taihao over that caused him to cling to me. So, you should also take responsibility for this. Mu Qingyu's mouth twitched and then retorted, what happened when I brought Hao Shao over? This is. Mu Yueying immediately interrupted Mu Qingyu's words, it's you. You instigated Jin Taihao to pester our family's Yushu, did you still have reason? You caused it all. At this moment, a middle-aged woman with short hair immediately shouted at Mu Yueying, yo ho. Our Qingyu only invited Hao Shao over for a big project. Hao Shao has taken a liking to your family's feather book. What's our business? This middle-aged woman is Mu Qingyu's mother, Mu Yume. Mu Yueying glared at Mu Yume and angrily retorted, this is what Mu Qingyu caused. He made Hao Shao entangle us with Yushu, so he must take responsibility. For the argument between Mu Yueying and Mu Yume, everyone has become accustomed to it. After all, these two have always been so fiercely opposed. The old lady looked at them, but her face immediately turned gloomy. She patted the table and shouted angrily at the two of them. You guys have enough. The two of them instantly closed their mouths, glanced at the old lady, and then looked at each other with an unconvinced expression. Mu Yushu let out a sigh, wanting to say something, but feeling unable to speak, she couldn't help but grin and sneer. Mu Qingyu saw Mu Yushu sneering and looked puzzled. What are you laughing at? The person in charge is you. The Jin family cancelled the 300 million project because of your husband and wife. Don't deny it. However, Mu Yushu ignored Mu Qingyu and bowed to the old lady before turning around and walking out. The old lady's face turned green as she watched Mu Yushu leave in anger. She thought that after honing Mu Yushu for 3 years, he should have been more obedient, but she didn't expect Mu Yushu to still be so aloof. However, I don't know if she values Mu Yushu too much, and she inexplicably feels a sense of loss in her heart. However, Mu Yume's face was filled with joy. Without Mu Yushu, her son had a good chance of sitting in the position of CEO. Mu Qingyu breathed a deep sigh of relief, feeling that he also had a good chance of sitting in the position of CEO, as if he had been looking forward to it for a long time and finally came today. However, neither Mu Yume nor Mu Qingyu knew that this was just the beginning of a nightmare for the Mu family. Mu Yueying, on the other hand, had a disappointed expression on her face. She couldn't believe that Mu Yushu would actually confront the old lady and give up fighting for the position of CEO. She originally believed that as long as Mu Yushu was willing to kneel down and admit his mistake, the old lady would still give Mu Yushu a chance, and she would definitely hold on to the position of CEO. But now, Mu Yushu refuses to bow her head and admit her mistake to the old lady, nor does she want to apologize to the Jin family. It may be difficult to make the old lady change her mind. The child should have her own thoughts, so you don't have to worry, said Du Wen, pulling Mu Yueying's arm and sighing softly. Mu Yueying gave Du Wenkai a white glance, wanting to say something, but felt as if she was holding back a breath in her heart and suddenly couldn't say anything. The old lady looked at Mu Qingyu and sternly ordered, "Qingyu, you should go over to the Jin family today and communicate well, so that they can stop targeting our Mu family." Mu Qingyu nodded excitedly, "Don't worry, old lady. I will definitely complete the task." Mu Yume quickly asked, "Old Tai Jun, could you take a look at the position of CEO?" The old lady naturally knew Mu Yume's caution and snorted coldly, "For now, let the third generation take over. We will re-elect in a while." Mu Yume's face was calm, but she dared not say anything more. Coming out of the courtyard, Mu Yushu saw Chen Mingqi standing at the entrance of the courtyard. She didn't expect Chen Mingqi to come over here. Chen Mingqi saw Mu Yushu's eyes turn red and quickly asked, "What's wrong? What happened? Shouldn't it be? Let's talk about getting in the car." Mu Yushu interrupted Chen Mingqi's words and immediately got into the passenger seat of the Maserati CEO's car. Chen Mingqi looked at it and immediately got in the car. As she drove away, she asked, "What's going on?" Mu Yushu recounted the matter of being soon dismissed from the group. After listening, Chen Mingqi looked displeased and said, "This is what Mu Qingyu, that bastard, did. He didn't do anything, so you were fired. Your old lady is not an old fool, is she?" Mu Yushu rolled his eyes and said, "Anyway, I really need to take responsibility this time." Chen Mingqi chuckled and said, "So what are your plans next? Mu Yu group doesn't want you anymore. Do you want to join my group or do you want to form a new group yourself?" Mu Yushu sighed and said, "I don't think of anything now. Let's take a break for a while before we talk."